Guys, today we're taking a look at the next generation of Nike Air cushioning that is so comfortable it feels unreal. Or is it? Here we have the box. Now, the unboxing experience may be a little bit different on this version because we know how much hype this little box logo carries. But I mean, other than that logo, it's pretty much just a regular black Nike box. So let me pop the lid and show you guys what's inside. This is the Nike Air Max DN. This is the Supreme version, and the one thing I guess that you do get with the Supreme version that you might not get with the regular one is an extra set of laces, which are pretty much just a dark green color. But here we have them, the brand new Nike Air Max flagship model for 2024. And bizarrely enough, the launch for this pair of shoes wasn't a special release on Air Max Day like it usually is. It was a Supreme collaboration. I'm personally less interested in the Supreme version and a lot more interested in the sneaker itself. But since this is the first pair to drop from this model, we've got these. The actual launch colorway from Nike is going to be dropping on March the 26th, which is Air Max Day. Now that is the all over black and purple colorway, which I'm not going to lie is a pretty nice first colorway. It definitely adds a lot to the futuristic style of the shoe. Is that one better than this all over black Supreme colorway? Well, considering this Supreme version sold out in literal seconds and is reselling for double the price, I would personally choose the colorway from Nike. These retail for £155 here in the UK and $160 for you guys out in the US. It pretty much lands this sneaker in about the mid-tier for pricing in comparison to other Air Max models. So Nike has made some pretty massive claims about the Air Max DN. This is a brand new Air unit, which Nike puts a lot of the marketing focus into it. It's basically a dynamic air system, which is why these are called DNs. You've got 4 visible circles in the midsole, however, it is only 2 air units. And these 2 sets of dual pressure tubes allow air to move from one chamber to the other, so when you're walking around there's a smooth transition. Now it looks pretty futuristic and all of the technical terms like dual pressure, dynamic system sounds very futuristic and revolutionary. So how does that translate into the practicality of this pair of shoes? What do they feel like on foot? Well, to be honest, pretty much like any other Nike Air Max sneaker. It's certainly not as revolutionary as Nike makes it out to be. And that's definitely not to say that these are not comfortable, because they are. This air unit does actually feel pretty soft. In fact, if you squish down these little bubbles, it seems to be softer than a lot of the other air units that I've felt. But I also think that the comfort of this pair of shoes has a lot more to do with the foam that's around these air units, because that is also incredibly soft. So I think the combination of the squishy foam and then the softer air units definitely leads to an overall pretty comfortable experience. I do have a slight issue of Nike making comfort claims when it comes to the upgrades that they've made on their air unit technology. Nike used air cushioning in 1978 when that was the pinnacle of sneaker cushioning. But all of the latest, most comfortable sneakers have seemed to kind of figure out that foam often makes the most comfortable shoes. So has Nike really found new innovative ways to make the same air unit even more comfortable every single year? Or have they just found new ways to market the same thing for the past 45 years? All I know is that the Air Max DN is a pretty comfortable sneaker. However, it's not far off from what Nike already offers. While we're talking about how these feel on foot, let's talk about size. I would say overall these fit true to size. However, like a lot of Nike shoes, they do run a little bit narrow. So if you have particularly wider feet, I would suggest going up a half size. One thing that did really surprise me about this pair of shoes was the materials that they used on it. The material covering the entire upper of the shoe is kind of like a very thin layer layer of ripstop material, so it has a lot of movement and it's not going to crease up or anything, which definitely is a nice bonus. However, the first thing you're going to notice when you pull these out of the box is all of these tiny little rubber dots that they've covered the entire top of this shoe with. It feels very grippy and sticky in hand, and it really reminds me of some kind of football shoes, like the Adidas Predators. Those had very grippy rubber elements on there as well, which I assume would help curve the ball when you're shooting. And they've added it to this, and how it kind of translates into a lifestyle pair of shoes is basically just making it look and feel slightly more futuristic. It's definitely interesting, and I kind of like it. Just underneath the ripstop material, you do have a layer of fused rubber, which does add a lot of structure to this pair of shoes and is also going to add some durability so that this thinner material doesn't just tear off. And then right in the center of this pair of shoes, you have a giant plastic shank, which kind of wraps around underneath all the way to the other side. And of course, that has the Nike logo. I actually like this design element, and I do think that it adds to the futuristic style of this sneaker. And I also like how they add different colors to it, like on the launch colorway of these things, it's all over purple to match the air units. On these, they just added a very dark green color, which is the same as the extra laces that you get. I'm not gonna lie, just kind of mutes the colorway a little bit, which again, triple black, that's fine, no worries, but they can do a lot more with different colors, which I think is a cool option. Towards the back of the sneaker, you've got another piece of plastic, which has a little Air Max DN logo, which is the same as what you find on the Air Max TN. This may lead you to believe that this is the next generation of the Air Max Plus because of all of the similarities, especially with the play on the logo, and then even the center plastic piece also has some similarities. But then Nike did just release the new Air Max Plus Drift, which is kind of the next generation of that. So this really is its own thing, kind of. Now, one part of the sneaker that I'm not a big fan of is the tongue, laces, and sock liner. This part of the shoe just kind of feels cheap and flimsy. The laces feel very cheap. The tongue is super loose and it's not attached to the sneakers. One of the usual things that ends up happening is that it flips off to the side, and then you have this kind of look, which is not my favorite. But I guess with all things considered, this being kind of in the mid-range of pricing when it comes to Air Max sneakers, yeah, you're bound to get some places that Nike cheaps out on. Overall, I do like this sneaker model. I mainly like it because of the looks. It's a super cool futuristic design that does look nice when you're wearing it. I have spoke about how Nike seems to have just been pretty much recycling Air Max sneakers for the past few years, specifically with the flagship models. It basically seems like they're just making slight changes on what they've already released in the past, and we haven't really seen anything that's that revolutionary or innovative. And I think it's kind of the same for this pair of shoes, but honestly, it's changed enough for me because I just like the way that it looks. It feels pretty decent on foot. It's a nice sneaker for 2024. I don't think it's as mind-blowing or innovative as we could have seen, but it's a solid pair of shoes, and I like them. So let me know what you think of the brand new Air Max DN down in the comment section. Would you want to try these things out? And if you want to find out why Nike's problems seem to be getting out of hand at the moment, click that video over there.